Hey, how's it going, everybody? JT here on behalf of the Ethfinance Community on Reddit, and thanks to the EVMavericks for hosting Happy Hour for this day, May 10th, 2024. Give us a thumbs up and smash a bell if you haven't already, all those things. And today we are joined by Prince Jindal from Lantern Finance. Say hello, world.
Hello, world.
It's good to have you back on again, Prince. So we got quite a bit of stuff to cover today with the Lantern Finance, and you guys got a little bit of an announcement to make too. So we'll be interested in learning more about that. But first, we have to get to our intro. The Weekly Doots live stream is all about showcasing the best of the week from the Ethfinance community on Reddit. This is a read-along reaction series, and if you want to follow along, head to dailydoots.com. Designed and produced by our very own Hani Abu. And while you're at it, go grab today's PoApp. Today's PoApp is now available for checkout on Ethereum, Arbitrum, Optimism, and Base. Big thanks to Tricky Troll for capturing and curating each day's Doots and the A word for curating this beloved weekly list. This podcast is available on Libsyn, Spotify, and pods.media, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. Give us a few hours and we'll have this very episode uploaded and ready to mint on Optimism and more, thanks to pods.media. Find us there at pods.media/EVMavericks. We've also just wanted to let everybody know we've still got this opportunity that's in the cooker right now for the EVMavericks and the Ethfinance community to join Influence. It's a new fully on-chain space strategy MMO developed by Unstoppable Games. Interweaver, our very own Interweaver, being their technical game designer. It will launch soon, and they're looking to onboard groups to form new alliances or team up with existing alliances within the game. You can check them out. I believe it's influence.eth is the ENS, but I think they have a URL that's something like that as well. If you're joining us on Discord, welcome in. Glad to have everybody. If you are watching my streaming window, make sure to mute that window to avoid any echoes. And as always, if you know someone who wants a piece of this action, send them my way. We love having guests on here. It helps make the show much more engaging. Coming up next week, we have Whack Whack Attack from Rocket Fuel. We have Anthony Bertolino of the ObolNetwork coming on May 24th. May 31st, we have Chris and Jean-Paul of Interweaver of Influence. And June 21st, Brendan Asselstine of PoolTogetther. Boy, that is a name I have not heard in a long time. So we're real excited to have some of those guests. There will be a couple of weeks that I'll be camping, and by camping, I mean in a condo on a beach somewhere. I need a break, and my wife needs a break from teaching, so we're going to go break together sometime in June. It'll probably be in that first week, but I only plan on taking maybe one Friday off from the podcast, just letting everybody know. All right, let's get on with our morning roundup. We have a user Lifelong Hodl chimes in. Ethereum user Auspicious Ether gives us a euros amount at 2812. Zebra Surfer with the pitiful ratio at 0.048. So painful. And uses Bink Video has us at 90,430 hodlers subscribed. That is your morning roundup. Your weekly haiku via the most dedicated person in Ethfinance with these haikus, J.S. Tears. He writes, feel the blockchain beat. The protocol is complete. Rest is obsolete. Wow, that's a great one. How does he do it? J.S. Tears, how do you do it? And our shitpost of the week, because we always like to save the best for first, comes to us by way of Haunted Jockstrap 88. Oh, these usernames. I love it. I don't know, man. I doubt that BlackRock, Van Eck, Franklin Templeton, Stripe, MasterCard, Visa, PayPal, JPM, Chase, etc. being interested in ETH is important. We probably won't even see all-time highs again or even appreciate in price from here. When Larry Fink talks about instantaneous guaranteed settlement and the tokenization of securities, I'm sure he's talking about Cardano or Solana. I'm sure base deploying as a layer 2 on ETH instead of as an alt 1 layer is just noise. The United States federal government being concerned about DeFi as a national security threat is obviously not the most bullish thing imaginable. They totally always embrace technological innovation quickly and without question. If ETH was truly as disruptive and lucrative as we've all been suspecting, the United States federal government certainly wouldn't be raising an eyebrow at it. No, sir. Sell it all. ETH isn't just a security. It's a mega doo-doo scary evil security that is also a shitcoin of no importance and will clearly go to zero. Wow, that's a banger, dude. Haunted Jockstrap 88 with the heat for our shit post of the week. All right, friends, it is time to talk to Prince Jindal from Lantern Finance back again. Prince, welcome in. We sure appreciate you taking some time today to hang out with us.
Yeah, great to be here. Thanks, JT.
Okay, so the 50,000 square foot view that I understand, and actually I participate with a very small stack. I'm actually streaming my window here. I'll show the users at home. So Lantern, first and foremost, they have a custodied staking solution. Staking as a service is what they say in the industry, correct? Am I on track so
That's
far?
right.
So, and they take, I think it's like a 15% fee. They, you also insure the deposit, correct?
Yeah, we have slashing insurance on the deposit.
Slashing insurance on the deposit, and the insurance company that you use is who again?
We use BitGo.
Bitco. Okay. And do they also do the staking, or is that another service?
Yeah, they have integrated staking service providers that we use.
Okay. So we've got this part nailed down. We understand lantern.finance is the website, staking as a service. We understand the fees. We understand there's an insurance piece to this as well. So the question is, what is your new service that you're now providing? Because this is why you're back on the show again. I thought it was pretty innovative.
Yeah, so we actually have a few different announcements. And I don't know if everyone here in the broader community knows, but what we're working towards is a way for people to take out loans against their staked ETH. Rather than using maybe a DeFi alternative, we're proposing that you have your collateral custodied with us, where it's insured, it's still being staked. You're not taking added smart contract risk. There's no tax consequences if you're concerned about that from an LST standpoint, or if you just need a statement to show your bank, like, hey, here's where I got these funds from. We can do that for you because we're more custodial. And so I think that's been live, but it's not something that everyone knows about. So I just wanted to reiterate that. A couple other announcements, though, that is something that we're working towards is, so far we've offered custodial staking, and part of the challenges with offering custodial staking is that we're limited to 15 states in the U.S. legally. These are the only states where our lawyers told us, hey, without the licenses and meeting all the regulatory hurdles, these are the only states you can operate in. So what we're also looking to add in the coming weeks is a non-custodial way to stake with Lantern as well. So what does that mean? That means if you have crypto on a Ledger device or your MetaMask wallet, you can simply connect wallet to Lantern and you'll be able to stake. and we're figuring out exactly where we'll be able to operate this. But this will give people a really good choice as to like, hey, do I want to trust Lantern custodying my crypto, or do I want to hold on to the keys myself, but just have Lantern, run the validators on my behalf? So I think that's going to give people a lot of choice. And then because they're already in our system, hopefully, we'll be able to process loans for them, for anyone who might need it as well. And the thing about the loans too has also been the reason we've been quieter on it is because it's also been very limited in the number of states we can offer it. But we're looking to expand that to potentially 30 to 40 states within the coming month or two.
That's fantastic. The coming month or two, 30 to 40 states. That's wow, that's impressive. So
yeah. What's I was just going to say, what's cool about, borrowing against stake deep, as is because if your collateral is still earning rewards for you, those rewards can go to offset the interest payment on your loan. So most people, as long as the staking rewards fully cover the interest payment, you don't have to worry about, oh, am I going to miss an interest payment? Am I going to be late? Are there late charges or anything like that? And we think we're taking some of the elements from DeFi, like something like Alchemix tried to do, and bringing that to like a broader audience that's more familiar with, the Web 2 world of like signing up with email, password, just storing your crypto on an exchange. So enabling people, I think that'll also open up borrowing for more people too, and that's what we're most excited about.
That's that is really exciting. So 30 to 40 states is just incredible given like kind of the regulatory uncertainty that we've seen. So you were able to legally get your pathways laid and talk to all the respective people in those different jurisdictions. That's just is it just the two of you still that are doing this, you and Jung?
Yeah. It's just the two of us. We are looking to bring on, a few more people now that we're looking to scale up a little bit, including, an engineer, maybe a compliance person, as well as like a design marketing person. So if anyone listening is interested in kind of what we're doing and wants to help us, that would be great. Or if someone knows anyone too, we'd love any introductions.
So we've got Prince Jindal here from Lantern Finance. If people are interested in careers with your company, where can they go? Do you have these listed on your website, or is there a better place for that, or is it just shoot you an email and go from there?
Yeah, I would say just shoot me an email. I'll post my email in the public chat. People can find me there.
Yeah, if you throw it in the public, if you put it in the public voice chat here. So it's, for those of you listening, it's Prince at lantern.finance. If you want to shoot him an email looking to get into a position with Lantern Finance, that's the best way to do it. So you're looking for an engineer too, you're looking for marketing, compliance officers, anybody like that?
Yeah, that's right. I think our biggest focus is really finding a really talented engineer, who wants to join what we're doing at the earliest stage. And for that, we're, going to be probably more equity weighted at this point until we do a raise from investors later this year is kind of the plan.
Excellent. And what's your goal target what's your target for your raise?
It's still a little bit TBD, but I think it's going to be at least $1 million is kind of what we're thinking right now, but it could be more than that. I think the next kind of 3 to 6 months will tell us exactly what the raise needs to look like.
You can't ask for $1 million because Dr. Evil is just going to pop up in everybody's brain. So you got to do, at least $2 million, and then you'll be
all right.
Yeah.
Okay.
You gotta avoid the meme of 1 million. Okay, so you got staking as a service. You have things are insured. You have a yield. The yield or the take that you guys do for your fee is 15%, and then you also have the ability to make stake on someone's behalf and loan them money ahead of their yield. So it's like a self-repaying loan based off of staking rewards, and the non-custodial solution is coming, and you're
Yeah,
in
and what
30 to 40 states. This is
so
crazy, or going to be anyway.
yeah, let me clarify, JT. So um, if you're staking with Lantern non-custodially, I think we'll be in all 50 states and plus some foreign jurisdictions as well.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
if you're staking with us, if you're purely staking with us custodially, then uh, we're still in the 15 states, but we might be able to expand to maybe 5 or 10 more states. However, if you're looking for a loan, um, you know, because that's a different arrangement, we should be able to at least process a loan in 30 to 40 states and stake for you. So as long as you're looking for the loan, it's more, we have a wider reach. But if it's just staking, if it's just custodial staking, the states might still be limited to maybe 15 to 20 states.
If let's in the regulatory environment, let's say, I don't know if you followed, and I honestly didn't until it came up recently, the SAB 120 bill. Is that correct? I don't know if this is even related to anything that you're providing, but the idea that banks can like custody funds on behalf of customers, and then it got passed, and but it's going to go to the Senate, maybe die there, or get vetoed on Biden's desk. Like, I know we don't know the result of the election in November, but what if there's a lot more regulatory burden and somebody is in some kind of a loan solution, but it has to be unwound legally? How do you have plans in place for a rapidly changing regulatory environment like that?
Yeah, it's a really good question. Um, I don't know how much that bill is going to impact, loans made at the state level. Like, if someone is in Kansas, for example, I'm not sure if the federal bill will impact that user in Kansas per se. I'd have to see. But if we had to, remove the loan from a state, my guess is we would probably just not originate or not do new loans,
Mm,
and we would let the existing loans just kind
expire.
of roll off. Yeah, expire.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, you would hope that would be the case, that it's not. I mean, because it's, I don't know how like grandfathery, this whole system is, because I feel like we're kind of making rules as we go as a
Yeah.
country anyway. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, just and I'm talking to Prince Jindal from Lantern Finance here. If there's anybody in Discord that has any questions for Prince while we have some time, just go ahead and unmute and ask at any time. Um, I'm really glad that you're able to come back and join us. Are there any other long-term goals for Lantern Finance, and how has the reception been? Looking back. So looking forward, is what else do you guys want to provide or offer? And then looking back, what has been working well for you, and how's the reception been by potential investors and those who are already invested?
Yeah. I think what our focus has been since we launched has been more like somewhat of the crypto newcomers or more people who are less technically savvy, which is why we made it a custodial offering. The reason why we're expanding to non-custodial is because there's been a lot of people who've said, I prefer to custody my own crypto, but I want to stake through you guys. And so we want to expand the ways that people can stake with us. And I think that'll kind of changing that customer profile to not just like the less technically savvy will unlock kind of this new user group who are probably more likely to take on loans. If I had to guess, like they have more ETH, maybe they have 32 ETH. That's a lot of money. And so maybe they need a loan, which is more likely than the person who maybe just has a few $100s worth of crypto that they want to stake. And so from that standpoint, there's been a lot of positive reception towards like, hey, this is the right direction we think that you guys are going in, at least from investors. And then in terms of where I see us doing more of is, obviously lending against staked ETH, and ETH has been our only focus since we launched. But there's a big world out there of, people who want to borrow against their Bitcoin too. And so maybe supporting some Bitcoin-backed loans could also be interesting down the road.
Yeah. So wrapping Bitcoin into an Ethereum contract, like making Bitcoin useful again, and then staking it. I don't know if we could help stake Bitcoin, but I know there's some L2s that are trying to do that, which is Bitcoin L2s that are like trying to make you get yield on Bitcoin, but I don't know how safe those are, and right
if a lot of Bitcoin OGs are even interested in that.
Yeah, smart contracts. They said they'll be awesome. We'll be sure to keep up to date with you. Anything else you want to add before we move on and proceed with the Doots?
No, I think that's basically it. Again, if like anyone hears, well, I had one other thing I wanted to let you guys know from our last conversation. I did get a question from someone who asked, what our makeup is in terms of execution client and consensus client, and I want to say that we're moving towards 100% Besu on the execution side, and then a 50-50 split between Prism and Lighthouse on the consensus side, with Teku as a backup. So
very good.
Yeah,
that's about as good as you could ask for as far as decentralizing the control of those things. That's great. Good for you. All right. Any other any questions from the gallery while we've got Prince here? Okay. All right. Very good. Well, thank you. And I hope you can stick around. We're going to jump right into the Doots, and we'd love to have you stick around if you want to be a color commentator or anyone else on Discord for that matter. I do need to go back and pick up something here, is that I forgot to do our top 10. Our top 10 on the rich list: Harag at 71, Henny Abu at 77, 696 ETH at 80, Scientist at 81, Set One Less at 91, Crypto Currency at 92, Tricky Troll at 97, Benito 2030 is climbing up at 120, Logri the Bard at 125, and the almighty everlasting Super Fizz at 194. All right, our first dude of the week comes to us by way of Charitable Chair. Charitable Chair sees Web2 thinking in airdrops. After the Eigen token announcement and subsequent backlash, I've been thinking a lot more about how so much in the world of crypto right now seems to be the product Web2 thinking. For example, VC money, financialized governance, etc. One big plot hole with this Web2 thinking, as I see it, is that it's really hard, if not impossible, to create a moat in crypto. Liquidity is never truly locked. Vampire attacks are a thing, etc. I personally believe that the crypto future that we were promised is not built on the back of for-profit, but rather autonomous public goods that are built and then just kind of put out into the world. Therefore, this is a misalignment. Adding to this rift is the fact that it seems VCs have figured out the crypto equivalent of the traditional attract extract model, since it's so hard to, quote, turn a profit, unquote, in crypto. The main way to get paid is via this charade we call governance tokens. The attract cycle is building up TVL, total value locked, and hype. And the extract cycle is a user hostile TGE and exit. This would explain the following. Number one, tiny and arbitrary allocations, 5 to 10% for the community, for example, airdrops for random NFT projects, etc. Number two, opaque snapshot in TGE dates that, of course, insiders know beforehand. Number three, no withdrawal functionality until after TGE is a way of inflating TVL numbers. Looking at you, Renzo. Number four, non-transferable tokens, that is, until VCs are vested. And number five, arbitrarily limiting regions and putting serious effort into blocking VPNs. The Eigen announcement is, of course, disappointing, but in retrospect, it's obvious that it would go this way. The silver lining in all this is that once the dust settles, we'll find that some things did get built with all this VC money after all. Those interested in creating public goods can take what's been built, clone it, and undercut it. Since I don't see a shift in how we fund crypto projects anytime soon, this is what I rest my optimism on. And that was user Charitable Chair, Duder number 4 for the first dude of the week. Number 2, Fimar Hal does their due diligence on the swell layer 2. Fimar Hal is a Duder number 60. Wow, he's up in the top. He's got to be up in the top 20 duders then. The other day, one of us asked if depositing assets into Swell L2 was safe. I took a look today. Swell L2 isn't live. So currently, you're depositing into a staking contract. The code looks clean and intuitive. Geez, this is me, JT, just on a little rant. I love it when coders are like, the code looks clean and intuitive. To me, it's like, holy cow, that looks like a bunch of spaghetti. I have no idea what I'm looking at. So that's good. I'm glad that it looks that way to you, Fimar Hal. If you deposit, he goes on, if you deposit rebasing assets like EETH or STETH or plain ETH, your deposit is first routed through a Zapper contract to convert it to WEETH, WSTETH, or WETH. And then he shares the zapping contract. There's no issue with this contract. It's immutable. No access control. Everything is clearly defined. Then, in either case, your assets end up in the proper staking contract. And then he's got a link to the staking contract. It's a simple contract with a couple functions. When your assets are inside this contract, they are dormant, not used for anything, and not exposed to extra risk. Only you can deposit and withdraw your assets. And then there's an edit that NUE85 points out emergency function can't actually touch your deposits. That was a misread on my part. This means the contract is 100% safe, much better than my fairly safe deposit. He goes on from there. I'm going to do the last paragraph. The 3 days delay on owner withdrawal should be a guarantee against any wrongdoing. Provided you assume between 500 million of TVL, some depositors will monitor the multisig or do it yourself. The code is simple in a good way. Your assets simply sit in this contract. There is no upgrade function of any kind. Presumably, the bridging to Swell L2 will be an entirely manual process once it goes live, which is also a good thing. All right, moving on. Yeah, Logri.
I love it when people show up with content like this, right? Like,
yeah, I love it when the A word puts it in there.
I love it when, I could show up daily and have some like competent look at a contract and be like, this is the audit risk for it, right? Wish we had. I mean, there's not as though audits aren't regularly published. I wish we even had people that would more regularly dive into the public audits, right? And come back and report what they said. It's part of talking about applications, really. And more generally, I just wish we had more discussion on all applications and less on, I don't know, politics, for example. Price up and down 3%, Rather we had more topic on just all the apps on every angle of it. And this is one of the more valuable angles we can contribute as a community.
Good call.
So, thank you for putting all that together.
Yeah. Thank you, Fimar Howe. And great job, the A-word, for picking out that one for a weekly do. Great job. Okay. User back to Samadhi returns from a long time off and wants to catch up with how Ethereum is tracking compared to its initial vision, and user PA7X1 and user HBlask share the important stuff. Back to Samadhi is a duder number one. So this was their first dude, made it onto the weekly. Oh boy, looky here. Invested in Ethereum in the 2014 ICO. What? Amazing. I've been away for a long time. I'm currently unwell and do not have the energy to try to get up to date. I barely understood how proof of work worked. Whatever Ethereum is today, does it still have the promise of building a new financial ecosystem and being the backbone of finance? Mass adoption will come if the correct and needed applications are being built. But at a quick glance, the space seems to be slightly empty, and all I see are airdrops and yield farming, when Ethereum and in general crypto has or had the potential to create a real revolution and change humanity. Can someone direct me to good sources of information I could read or watch to catch up with what has been happening since 2021? And as I said, I'm very unwell and do not have the mental sharpness or strength to go in depth right now, even if I want to. Ever since 2015, I've been following the ETH-BTC ratio, and although I'm not worried, I'm starting to think perhaps my timeline for seeing a ratio bull market is farther away than I had hoped. Perhaps this still needs a few years, or perhaps this is a retest of the ratio breakout from 2021 before moving goes higher. But we need a catalyst, and airdrops along with yield farming won't cut it. Ethereum needs to prove that a new financial system is on the way before a bubble similar to the dot-com bubble is possible. Perhaps that's here. Hence, I'm asking for information to help me build an objective narrative. Thanks, and bless you all with good health. It's much more important than any of this. After the latest, user PA7X1 summarizes. After the latest update that made roll-ups economically viable, Ethereum is ready for prime time. The vision for a new, efficient, and transparent backbone for finance that disintermediates middlemen is finally possible, technically. Before, we were limited to 10 to 20 transactions per second, which is clearly insufficient to meet global settlement needs. Right now, we have room for around 300 to 500 transactions per second, and the scalability roadmap will keep pushing it further to the order of 100,000 transactions per second. The most significant roadblock right now is regulatory. The SEC, and current U.S. administration is very antagonistic of crypto and Ethereum in particular. But technology is unstoppable. Once the genie is out, it cannot be put back in. These hurdles will be overcome too. If you have not been following, you can hear from the mouth of BlackRock's CEO himself. Wish you all the best. HBlask. I think people always look to the consumer retail side to see if Ethereum is living up to its potential, but I think that is a mistake. HBlask goes on. I think the real potential is in the commercial side of things, such as the stuff Paul Brody is doing with EY. Just Google Paul Brody, EY, Nightfall. There are tons of videos. The TLDR is EY is working on a set of business tools for supply chain tracking so that companies can track every input and output of the supply chain from raw materials to consumer. Additionally, companies can ask for bids over the blockchain, award contracts, track performance, and do all the necessary accounting and payments. They thought it would take about a decade to really build momentum. Like turning a battleship, you need a lot of lead time. I believe we're about halfway through that, and many companies are trying it and starting the transition. Back to Samadhi. I think they said in their comment, let me see. Oh, yeah. It's very important. And he tagged me originally in this comment. That's why this looked familiar. And then he said, oh, I said, awesome post. Let's get you some karma. That's right. He needed some karma. I hope folks can chime in. He goes, I won't reveal who I am, but we had fun time shit posting on ETH Trader together in 2016. And I do have a couple of ideas who that might be, but it's still a mystery and I'm not going to pry. Back to Samadhi, the most important thing is, as you said, is your health, right? He said, thanks and bless you all with good health. It's much more important than any of this. I really hope that you're able to recover your health issues, my friend. And cheers and big hugs. Moving down the list, user Isaac Hunt 1 shares our biggest frustration right now, and user Crypt, yeah, I'm just going to say it, Cryptard8285 shares news behind it. User Isaac Hunt, let's see what their Duder number count is. They are a Duder number 1 also. Wow, we got 2 first-timers on the Doots list that made it on the weekly. Great for you guys. Isaac says, the regulation by enforcement is so frustrating. You can't seriously tell me Coinbase, Uniswap, and MetaMask are the bad guys in crypto when so much blatant insider trading, pump and dumps every single day. It suggests that there's just some ulterior motive. I'm going to interject an opinion here. The reason why that there are regulatory actions against a lot of smaller companies on a regular basis. These guys, Coinbase, Uniswap, MetaMask, they just have larger targets on their backs. That's why they get the news headline. Okay. Robinhood is one of the largest non-crypto companies to get into crypto in a big way. I mean, for retail, they have a wallet, a DEX, and please, the BTC ETF doesn't really count in this. And now they are being sued, Robinhood. This is just intimidation and to send a message to the rest of the companies that if you get into crypto, you will be sued. It's no wonder no other big company has even tried. Last cycle, there was genuine hope that companies will push into crypto. Nike, Coke, many played around with NFTs. Reddit came up with tokens. This cycle, many more were going to experiment. But now, do you think a big company like Apple or Google will launch even a crypto wallet if they don't know what they are going to be charged as a broker dealer or clearing agent or unregistered security or whatever? It's just to kill crypto. It's all part of the agenda to stifle any growth of crypto. User Cryptard285, Duder number 19 responds. SEC sues Coin and claims Sol, ADA, Matic, Phil, Sand, AXS, CHZ, Flow, all these other shit coins are securities. And then Robinhood gets sued, and they only list BTC, ETH, Doge, Shibe, AVAX, and others. So either SEC is making it up as they go, or they missed a lot of the securities when they sued Coinbase. Yeah, good point. They're just kind of making it up as they go. I say it every freaking week. How does an agency, unelected agency, get so much legal funding to go after and lose so many court cases? Like, how many L's does an agency get to take in a row and spend taxpayer dollars going after businesses like this and not get and there's just no repercussion for doing it. They just get promoted, I guess. I don't know.
But okay, so several SEC lawyers have, like, the one that got the straight up reprimand from the job. Remember, they lost in court, and the judge was like, "No, this looks like straight up corruption, right? This is," I forget exactly who they won the suit against, but the lawyers involved in that are no longer with the SEC.
Okay.
So several people have already lost their jobs or heads over this, and
Okay.
otherwise, there's not that many judges. Like, this is a fairly narrow range of topics.
Mm-hmm.
The court system that handles these types of cases is a fairly narrow range of judges, right? There's not like hundreds of judges, not just some general thing. This is a very specific area of law.
Gotcha.
And so every time they lose one of these court cases, the chances they're going to show up with that same judge next time, who's going to see the same bullshit being done, right? And is going to come down increasingly harsh and form an opinion against the SEC. The SEC is quickly undermining their own credibility with the judicial branch over which they have no authority, right? The judicial branch has authority over them. And so they're quickly pissing off mom and dad on this one. And you can see it in the tone of every ruling that comes out, right? It's getting more and more aggressive against them. So I'm optimistic that they're in the fuck around stage and they're quickly going to get into the find out stage here. We have a couple well-capitalized entities on the defense, right? They could have just gone after a small fish and slowly racked up precedents and whatnot. But for I guess to please their masters, they're going after some of the bigger ones. But strategically, it's very stupid for the end goal of they want to suppress crypto, right? Because these are well-capitalized entities that can and will defend themselves. So somewhere between, just like, for example, suing Uniswap for the same thing that Coinbase just won, didn't even just have the charges thrown out before it even got to the main trial, right? Over the broker dealer on the wallet, right? Trying to sue Uniswap for the same thing is just it's just not a good look, right? You're setting a very bad tone for your honesty in the courtroom, and judges aren't going to like that. So I don't think that crypto is powerless to defend itself. I also think that DeFi being unassailable will survive whatever the hell they do, right? Like, just because the U.S. says that my wallet is illegal doesn't mean that someone in Switzerland isn't going to make a wallet and it'll be just fine, right? Innovation will go overseas. They'll slow it down, but it won't stop. And nothing in U.S. law is ever going to pass muster to make it illegal for users to buy unregistered securities. It's always the sale of unregistered securities that gets people in trouble, right? But it's never the blade is never pointed at a random U.S. citizen buying something on Uniswap, right? So they'll probably try in their surveillance state way to make you have to register your wallet. Fine. But I don't think they're ever going to try and pass a law that says it is illegal for you to have a self-custodied wallet. I've never even seen an inkling of that in their attempted states. It's always in the development of these things, which I think is another losing case. You go back to the cypherpunk wars when they were trying to make cryptography illegal, right? They tried to come after the people writing the cryptography software and throw them in jail, and they lost. That movement then, and I think they'll lose this movement now. And even if they do manage to throw people in jail over this, the precedent that they are setting will be so disastrous for the U.S. in the long term, right? It's just going to move the innovation overseas. We're going to have people in Europe where the legislation is less oppressive, hopefully. Or if not then someone in Russia, right, will do it just because Russia's not going to crack down on it if it's a way of getting around the U.S. iron fist over the currency supply, right? There will be some defector country in the world where innovation will continue on and march because the tide of technology cannot be suppressed. So they can build a.
I was gonna mention Russia banned crypto recently. Now it's like that's our sworn enemy, right? So if the United States wants to start going down the same road as Russia, how's that going to resonate with voters, in a freedom of speech kind of supposed freedom of speech theater that we have
there seems to be a sizable percentage of the U.S. electorate that would be okay with that, going down the same route as Russia.
Yeah, isn't that wild? That's wild. Limiting the freedom to transact, the freedom to self-custody, something that you paid for and own.
Money is speech, but we won't let you use it, right?
It's crazy to me. It's crazy to me. Like this environment where it's like people are just, they're not, I just, not to go off on a tangent, but it's related. The so-called TikTok bill. I don't know if you've pulled the onion peel off of that thing, but that has very little to do with China and TikTok. It has more to do about deeming something to be a national security threat. That's anything could be a national security threat with that bill against U.S. citizens that are running businesses.
Yeah, it's like the Patriot Act. It's
Oh,
on steroids. Yeah, I agree.
I was just thinking, like, oh,
go ahead.
I was just thinking, like, I think I haven't seen this many companies go on the offense against the SEC, I guess, in my lifetime. And now you've got Consensus suing the SEC. You've got Coinbase already duking it out. You've got Robinhood and Uniswap. I mean, I wonder if the SEC wins any of these cases, frankly.
And to your point, look at how many cases they're losing, which only enables more precedents for crypto. So it's kind of like we keep having these little battles and we keep winning, and it's laying a foundation where it's going to take like a massive overhaul at some point from the highest offices in the lands to remove all the regulatory blunders at the SEC. It's kind of like the SEC is throwing little landmines in front of the wheels in Washington. You know what I mean? Because they're allowing all this precedent court cases to come through. So I guess maybe I have some misplaced anger, where I'm upset at the SEC for bringing all these lawsuits, but fuck, if they keep, pardon my French, but if they keep losing, it only becomes more of a galvanizing force, I guess, for the industry, not a detriment.
Yeah, regulation by enforcement can backfire when the enforcement actions fail, right?
Throwing landmines in front of the vehicle. Yep.
So it will create precedent that says legally your authority stops here. And if this stuff goes to the Supreme Court is currently rather hostile to institutions in general as a pattern, right? Like there's a Chevron doctrine, is this thing that goes back about 90 years or something. It basically says, like, in the case where there's ambiguity, just go ahead and give the institution the authority. Very much paraphrasing, I'm not a lawyer, but the Supreme Court may throw out that as a precedent, which will just create chaos, right, in the entire legal, like everything in government. Every department will suddenly have to renegotiate where their authority, like the bounds of their authority, and it'll have to be bills will have to be regularly passed by Congress to expand that authority as technology shift, right? There's a reason that Chevron doctrine was there. It was supposed to make the government functional as the world changed without having to constantly pass new bills. But it leads effectively to regulatory creep. And the Supreme Court is hearing cases that may, if they have the opportunity here to significantly curtail the authority granted to all of these places like the SEC that are not Congress themselves, and that Congress did not grant explicit authority to, right? So they may lose a lot more than they're thinking with this play as well. They may lose basically the ability to stop even stocks from being launched. They may lose the ability to regulate in any meaningful way and pursue enforcement action against almost any type of securities that aren't peer-to-peer deals, right? Like actual contracts, not even stocks. They are taking on more than I think they are prepared to lose at the moment, and I think they're pursuing it in I listened to the Coinbase hearing, like the full call. Their argument was just bad. I mean, they they were asking, so why is BTC not a security if ETH is, right? Or if these other tokens you allege are? They're like, well, BTC has no community. And I like guffawed. I was like, okay, wait till we get the numbers on that one.
Wow.
Let me introduce you to crypto Twitter. That was their actual and only argument. Actually, they had a chance to argue, like, what makes something a security and what doesn't. And their actual and singular response to that question to Judge Valia was, well, BTC has a community, BTC doesn't have a community and it does. Like, what? What? Okay, well, I'll see you in court then, right?
Jesus. Wow. Okay.
Coinbase was trying to argue that you had to have a contract. You had to have some carryable legal right or guarantee when you bought something. You had, like, if I buy a Beanie Baby, there's nothing carried with the Beanie Baby other than the Beanie Baby, right? If I buy a baseball card, if Topps goes out of business next year, I can't suddenly sue them because I had a right for them to pump my bags, right? Like, there's no legal right or guarantee associated with the purchase of the crypto token. So It's not a contract. There was no legal signature at any point. So it's not a contract, right? And that the Howey test was supposed to apply to contract law, and for something to be a contract, there had to be this legal right. But that is a framework that we can use to evolve, the Howey test and the legal stance on what is a security in the modern age. Like, it was a good start. And when the judge asked, so what is your stance on this topic, SEC? The SEC just had nothing. They just basically said, if you squint, it looks like a security. And we don't think they should be trying to wiggle out of it being a security because of that. And Coinbase was like, I agree. I think that if the people in 1930 could see that they're trying to apply, these securities laws to something where there is no contract involved, they would be shocked and aghast, right? So in terms of legal strength of position, clarity of argument, what was literally being pled, the SEC has had a chance to show up and make a good case, and they got nothing.
Yeah, no, 100%. Well said. Very good.
What's that hearing?
That was the Judge Falia Coinbase versus the SEC. So the Coinbase was trying to file a motion to dismiss the entire case, right? And so the SEC had to defend their position. And in that environment, the judge is going to take everything the SEC says as though it is true by default. It's just basically saying, assuming what the SEC says is correct in every instance, did Coinbase actually break any laws? Is there any case here? And they said, okay, the securities violations maybe we'll take that one to court, as though the SEC has made a case and we have to assume what they said is true. But the broker dealer on the wallet, that was thrown out of hand. As in, even if everything the SEC says is true, even if everything they allege is taken for granted, Coinbase did nothing illegal. That the broker dealer on the self-custodial wallet is such a farce of argument that it has no legal standing. Like, that was a big loss for Coinbase. And now they're trying to sue Uniswap for exactly the same thing under the same grounds. And if that goes to Judge Valia, it probably gets dismissed on the same grounds very quickly, right?
What did you said the Coinbase lost the case or it got dismissed? The self-custody
the aspect
thing.
Of the self-custody wallet, the charges the SEC filed against Coinbase on the self-custody wallet, some of those were dismissed.
Okay, some were dismissed. Gotcha.
The remaining points are, now we have points of contention. The SEC alleges this, Coinbase alleges that. We will take the matter to court and get that adjudicated.
Gotcha.
Right? And we may have to get, right? Eventually there may be, trial and whatnot. But,
so they were stripping down the number of pain points that were even going to be discussed. Gotcha.
The hearing was at the end, Coinbase said, this is BS. And we want the entire lawsuit thrown out before it's even adjudicated because it is so off base.
They lost the dismission. They lost the dismission of the entire case.
Now it will go to actual court, and the points of dispute between them, those are going to be, person A pled this, person B pled that.
Gotcha.
The judge has to make a ruling who is right based on who pled the facts best, right? And this is where we go into legal precedent, and you may have legal precedent on both sides of the case, in which case this is where a judge is really required, as we do not have something like Ethereum that can serve as a non-corruptible neutral arbiter of execution of these things, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're not written in computer code that can be executed. Their laws are not precise, and things can conflict as they're written by multiple parties over multiple centuries. So we have judges to adjudicate when there are matters of disputes between the two parties. So all that happened here was the SEC failed to even have a reasonable suspicion or failed to plead sufficiently that the Coinbase wallet was a broker-dealer.
Gotcha.
Right? Like that was thrown out of hand.
Gotcha. Okay. Good. All right. I'm going to move on. Got about 5 left here. And a little bit of light news here. Crocodile Mansion is now a mod of our Ethfiance. As you can see here,
bro.
Congrats to Crocodile Mansion. That's a beautiful ring. And as I was joking, she sure is lucky to have found you. So completely off topic, but she said yesterday, Crocodile, he has a special place in my heart. He was one of the early friends of mine on eTrader. And when I was teaching, he sent me 4 postcards from through the country of Spain. He walked across Spain and sent me postcards along the way. And I was sharing those with those students in the classroom. So, and he's hosts a podcast over there, and he's just a really good person. And I'm so happy. And of course, I can make myself available if you need a destination DJ. And I'll do my best to spin the cultural favorites over there in Europe. So congrats once again. User Scientist covers their favorite recent Ethereum podcast series. The Infinite Jungle podcast by Christine Kim, she used to do the tweet storms after each ACD call back in the day, is easily my top podcast on the Ethereum ecosystem lately. I'm going to break here. Was Christine Kim part of the Ethereum Foundation once upon a time?
No, she was part of CoinDesk and then later moved to
right.
Galaxy.
Got it. Christine Kim beats out the Daily Gwei, which was my previous must listen. Wait a second. You can't deny the Sasana. That guy goes on every damn day. Every day. He's taking what, 2 weeks off or 3 weeks? Hats off to Anthony Sassano for taking a break. But what does my opinion count for? This is scientist's opinion. User Scientist likes the Christine Kim podcast. They are a Duder 81. It goes on from there. There's 2 30-minute episodes a week. Okay, so twice a week, 30 minutes, Christine Kim's podcast called The Infinite Jungle. The first, which covers what the core devs decided in the previous week, and the second, which interviews someone from the Ethereum ecosystem. The best part is she has a way of explaining hard to understand concepts almost like a school teacher. I've learned so much about account abstraction, Verkle trees, the EVM, EOF, etc., even despite having a rough understanding of these areas already. So thank you, scientist, and thank you, the A-word, for adding this, dude. If you're looking for another podcast, especially while Anthony is laying on a beach somewhere, I hope, the Infinite Jungle podcast by Christine Kim. User Llama Chef.
I gotta
go
hop
ahead
for another call, but great to be with you today and everyone else here.
Yeah, great to have you. Come back anytime. Keep us updated. We'd love you. Come around again. We'll talk to you later. Cheers.
Cheers.
User Llama Chef shares a cool product they've been using since ETH Denver. Let's see. Llama Chef is a Duder number Deuter number 9, ETH Denver follow-up regarding exponential.fi, which was one of the stalls in the hall and had an offer for those that signed up during ETH Denver. The offer was for those that verified by the end of the gathering, deposited and held the investment for 60 days. Those that deposited 1,000 USDC got 100, and 10,000 deposit got 1,000. Just got past the 60-day mark and got the offer paid out. So that's neat. Exponential product, Exponential's the name of the project. The product, in my view, is trying to make DeFi appear through a more traditional investment bank wrap. You log in, you do the KYC and all of that, and you can either deposit from your bank through Bridge or send via an ETH wallet on mainnet, Arbitrum, Polygon, and others. And you can send ETH or USDC. Once deposited, you are presented with a variety of portfolios and projected APRs to invest in, denominated in currencies like ETH, BTC, stables, or some alts. They have pretty charts and stuff and easy to understand descriptions of what's being invested in and the risk. And I just found you can click on the full report to get a detailed breakdown, like quality of code, usage, reliability, and more, and links to the actual DeFi site and a Discord to discuss, like USDC across bridging, the ARB tri-crypto, etc. Pretty easy to invest into something. Isn't instant like DeFi. I suspect they delay a day or two to try to do batch transactions. Once invested, it shows your average return and projected, again with charts and percentages. It's pretty slick overall. I like the product for a couple of reasons. First, it keeps and kept me from doing wilder DeFi things because I knew I had to invest for the 60 days. It also allows automatic reinvesting of profits like a traditional investment fund. I will probably keep my investments there since it pretty much was funded with an ETH profit taking. Let's see. It's a very nice site, and I don't need to be doing lots of wallet approvals and transactions to do anything. I'm assuming the tax report will be pretty nice when the time comes. And hey, they followed through on their 60-day promise of a USDC reward, and I can't be sad with free USDC. The cons, though not super cons, I guess. KYC with ID, so very TradFi. Also, for some reason, you can only withdraw on the same amount as you deposited. You can't divide it up, which is weird because I can do that with stocks and the like. So I've got the ability to withdraw my whole initial deposit or my profits. The fee page says they can take up to 1%. When I looked at mine, it said 0.2%. So a positive in understanding the fees is involved, but no variability for on-chain gas or timing to make it cheaper. I'm not shilling. The majority of my DeFi is still via wallets, but just think it's a good way to take DeFi into the TradFi space. Very good, dude. Excellent job, Llama Chef. Thank you for that contribution, and thank you to the A-Word for adding that. That's a really neat product. Again, let's see. It's called, what did I call it? Exponential.fi. Let's just open that URL up real quick and see what it looks like. Exponential.fi. There we go. There's a better way to make money with crypto. Maybe we should reach out to this team and get them on the podcast. If somebody in the gallery wants to do that, I think they'd be fun to talk to. There's all kinds of pretty little charts they said, and maybe I could do a little wallet on there just to demo. Very good. Thank you, Llama Chef. All right, moving on. Benito 23. Gosh, Benito 2030 got a double doot yesterday, I think, also. Bertolino 2030's introduces the Ethereum Defense Alliance. Oh my gosh, this sounds like a pack. I would like to share a new initiative, the Ethereum Defense Alliance. So what is the Ethereum Defense Alliance, or EDA? The quote, "We are a group of individuals and entities with the goal of protecting Ethereum against risk vectors and fostering a robust and sustainable network. The EDA was initiated last year when the threat of LIDO was even greater than it is today. And as you all know, it has evolved since then. Some Ethfinance members like Hani Abu, Bob Rossi, and Minimal Gravitas and myself are EDA stewards, and we are trying to coordinate people and ideas. There are already many more members and entities that have joined the EDA. We saw the power of coordination and importance of governance to protect the network. The EDA's mission is to protect Ethereum from centralization and risk vectors in every shape. The bullet points. Collaboration. The bullet points are this: collaboration, education, governance, monitoring, and change. So first, collaboration. As the saying goes, it takes a village to raise an idiot. Oh, wait, no, it says child. It takes a village to raise a child. We aim to bring together individuals, projects, and organizations from across the ecosystem to promote positive change as a united front. Education. Knowledge about decentralization pitfalls and their common causes is important to prevent the community at large from falling into them. This is our first and possibly best defense against risk vectors. Governance. Project governance can have influential effects on the rest of the network. The EDA contains delegates from key projects who will prioritize and advocate for chain health. You know what that kind of sounds like? It sounds like senators, right? Like the biggest delegates from the biggest project could also get in a room together and do like a massive protocol style governance thing. Kind of neat, huh? Monitoring. We are developing tools and resources to actively monitor threats to Ethereum's decentralization to catch issues early. And change. Once a threat has been identified, we look to spread awareness to the broader Ethereum community for swift course correction. We believe this community understands the risks as well. Basically, the search for delegates is and was already one of the EDA's initiatives, but governance is only a means to an end, and there is obviously more than that. We are looking forward to your input. The goal is to become even more proactive and drive changes before threats even show up. If you have any questions, you can post them here, contact one of us, or use the contact form on the EDA homepage. And there's the homepage, the Ethereum Defense Alliance. We have the About page, and we have the members. Wow, there's quite a few people, huh? 5-day-old burritos in there. Harog is in there. Jasper the Friendly Ghost from Rockapool, Dapno, Daily Gway, Super Fizz, Nixo. Oh, that's cool. Very cool. Our delegates, the delegates, Bob Rossi, Jasper, Whack Whack, Bob Rossi again for Hot Protocol, Whack Whack for Rockapool. Okay, so Whack Whack does Diva and Rockapool, Jasper does Diva and Rockapool, and then Influence. And that would be, Influence is Stark, that would be the Interweaver in the gang. Okay, very good. This is really cool. Benito 2030, thanks for sharing that. And finally, here we go. Astafari 12, has the latest U.S. regulatory shenanigans. Astafari 12 is a deuter number 26. If there are any bipartisan pro-crypto agreements in Congress, Biden is prepared to veto it. According to a press release, this is the SAB 21 thing. According to a press release from the White House today on one such potential agreement that is being voted on later today. Is this how democracy should work? Basically, the SEC issued guidelines that banks, broker-dealers, and many other entities can't custody digital assets. They did so without first asking for comments or coordinating with other agencies. See the link below for the full reasons given while they will want to nullify the SEC SAB 21. It's a good brief read that makes sense to me. The risks are also bigger if all custody is concentrated to Coinbase. All right, so yeah, this was a bipartisan agreement. There were 21 Democrats broke ranks to side with Republicans in getting this thing moved down the road, but it's inevitable based off of White House press release that it will get vetoed. And I'm just beside myself. It's just like, really? Okay. So,
Let it
go
veto,
ahead.
right? Like, yeah, just push it to veto, right? That makes that draws the political lines, right?
Yep.
And every action like that just creates mounting pressure. And then you add the courts layer on top of that, and it'll add embarrassment, and it'll start to continue to erode the credibility of the agencies that are enforcing these things, right? And it's all just a house of cards. I've said many times, the blade of censorship is dulled by its every use.
Yeah.
So make them use it often until it is like too dull and they've lost all their credibility and like they get voted out and it'll change course.
Yeah. And this kind of moves into the final thing that I want to bring up, because the mods on Ethfinance, this is what I'm going to say is a lot of my opinion and the opinion of moderators. We're just talking now about Ethfinance and the daily and the discussion of politics, because we've had a real uptick, and it happens every election cycle. And we have the classic rule of no politics. And we do uphold that decently well. Sometimes we let stuff go because people are having a decent enough conversation about policy rather than politics. But then sometimes it always devolves into if you're a one issue voter, F you because blah, blah, blah. And, it always ends up being like this weird partisan thing. And things are changing, people. Like we've been hoping that crypto would become mainstream. Well, if it's getting talked about in the highest offices of the land, we've arrived to mainstream. We can just safely say it's mainstream. It's a huge industry. It had been this quiet, like kind of cypherpunk thing for years. And then it just bloomed and blossomed. And now the issue is that we have a highly contentious U.S. election coming up. And I know the U.S. isn't the world, but the U.S. dollar is a lot of the world. And so and this is a money thing, right? So the problem is, how can we get the culture of Ethfinance in the daily to talk as much as we can about policy without dogging the other person for taking the opposite opinion, or the ad hominems, or the orange man bad and Biden sniffs kids bullshit, right? So I think, like, for instance, and I could be totally off base here, but like Logri and I in an election are probably going to be voting for different people, right? But as we've seen even on this call here with Prince and Logri and myself, that we've talked a lot about policy without doing that, let's go Brandon stuff or the orange man bad stuff. And so, because that's the conversation we want to curate. So I put this stuff in a back channel. I posted it today, and we've come to a consensus as a mod team. And Off My Porch actually summed it up perfectly. The TLDR is policy, not politics. Policy is unavoidable. Politics is. See the difference? Please feel free to discuss policy as it pertains to crypto. Relevant sources, articles, videos, etc. will not be removed. Politics, on the other hand, is not what this sub is for. Comments that deviate into politics, like grandstanding, including excessive and repeated posting, poking at other users, they will be removed. Use common sense and aim for a constructive conversation. That paragraph that I have highlighted here is part and parcel kind of the path forward, because we've moved beyond the edge of the event horizon where we can just blanket say we're not doing politics in our sub. We're past, we can't do that anymore. I feel like we have to allow topical conversations when it comes to regulation, when it comes to policy making, macroeconomical stuff, enter into the discussion on Ethfinance on the daily, or there's going to be this chilling effect where all we are is literally just technical stuff. And I think that having a conversation is good for like thinking critically about things. But if you're coming into the daily to get a load off your chest and blow off steam, that's not going to work. So basically, if there's let's say there's a link that's posted to a Wall Street Journal article about like this SAB 21 thing, right? It goes down, there's replies, and people are having a conversation. And it's like the moment those two people or three people start going into the politics and the personas and the, all that stuff that gets so slimy so quick, probably just going to nuke the whole thread, except for maybe like the first original post and just lock it. I don't know what else to do. We're not trying to be heavy-handed as moderators. Two things are true. If we kill the discussion of policies, people will just tune out of the daily. If we allow everything to be posted, people will tune out of the dailies. That makes sense. And we're open to what people think, and about that approach. We're not putting lines in the sand. We're just throwing it out there because it's gotten a little bit greasy over the last, it's just going to be that way for a few months. There's no other way to put it. So I just continue to write here. We've got to make a statement about politics. This is me with the mod team. Something like, yeah, we get it. This is a tumultuous election. We all know the various talking points and rhetoric already. I think most people in this sub have probably decided on who they're going to vote for and blah, 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 or not at all. It's real, and it feels very real to all of us in the U.S. in one form or another. U.S. politics gets the most attention in financial markets because I already said this about the dollar. Apologies to the rest of the world that this election, that these are the best two people we could come up with. Honestly, it sucks. Let's try to debate policy rather than poking at each other. Policy is unavoidable. Politics is. All right? I think if we just remind everyone, take a deep breath and just realize what an effing mess this election is, and not to make things personal, we'll be fine. The policy, not the politician. Stick to facts, docs, data points when laying out an opinion. It's always so damn subjective and nearly impossible to moderate. We just got to tell people to lay out the opinion and just give up on the idea that you're actually going to change other people's minds. Makes it so much easier to feel comfortable talking about the policy when one isn't trying to persuade at the same time. It's like I really don't want to stifle the conversation because crypto is very much making its way into the highest offices of the land. It was easy to say no to politics at one time, and I think that's still true to an extent, but I think we need to be fertile ground for policy discussion because it's permeating deeply in the broader conversation. The question I have, are we going to be able to handle this as a community? Is this an impossible task to moderate? And should we just abandon all hope of discussing policy and just stick to more technical merits instead? So I'm just going to leave it at that. And there's some great replies here by various members of the Ethfinance community. That's in the daily if you want to stop by and give some feedback in 2 cents. So
I expect we'll talk about next week.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
The daily is part of Layer Zero. Layer Zero is a giant consensus, mechanism for Ethereum and for this, all the movements and values and philosophy that goes into this technology and its potential to change the world. People will write persuasive things. You're not their beliefs. You're not going to successfully persuade someone from on the internet, right? And so
Bingo.
We just want to make the umbrella of our Layer Zero and its impact within each finance as large as we can. The same reason I'm not in favor of moving off to Warpcast or Discord or whatever. I just if we're going to move, I want to move everyone at once in a coordinated fashion, so we don't divide the community and lessen the impact that we're having on layer 0. Right? I want to keep us together wherever we go, and I want to make it not exactly a safe space, but I don't want someone to exit our community because we're talking about things that there was never a chance of persuading them on, that are otherwise just divisive. So try to strike an inclusive tone, try to present facts. If you're going to persuade someone to a philosophy, not to a candidate, not to a way of voting, not to, just stick to what you have some chance of having impact on, which is the values that unite us.
Yep. I agree wholeheartedly. And, it's just, we got a few more months left. And then, I feel like we have a lot of common, I don't know how to put it. I feel like there's just so many tenets of people in crypto think one way, but then the leadership that they follow goes in a different way, and then vice versa. It's kind of funny in a way. It gets people kind of conflicted inside about and then out comes single issue voting is stupid. Well, yeah, it can be, but if you're a multi-issue voter, right, there's going to be a single issue that puts you one way or the other eventually. I don't know. And why has it got to be one way or the other? That's the other pissy thing about our democracy. So anyway, I bid everybody the best of luck dealing with, everything mentally over the next few months as we head into this election. I feel like it's just gonna be a long, hot summer. Okay. And furthermore, I should also mention, if you see something in the daily that really trips the trigger of politics versus policy, hit the report button. Hitting the report button is just it's an easier way for moderators to just take a look. It doesn't guarantee success of a removal or anything like that. We don't like to remove stuff, but if it smells funny, it probably is smelly. So usually what happens is in a comment string, the report comes by the time the 5th or 6th comment in the string happens. And then by that point, you can clearly see it's just a train wreck anyway. So if you feel like it, hit that report button. It's just impossible for moderators to spend all day with our Cheeto dust fingers and Mountain Dew cans reading every comment that happens, right? Even though we're slow, some of these comments that get through come in the very early morning hours or the late evening hours, and it's just something we have to.
Even if you read every top level comment, right?
Right.
Reddit doesn't easily let you revisit, see the new replies to comments that are under the main thread. So even if you're scanning the daily, even if you have Reddit stream up and your eyes are glued to the screen, there's still a good chance you're gonna miss something offensive somewhere down the stack there. And that's just as you said, that's why there's a report button. But it's also the nature of as a conversation unfolds on Reddit, it goes from a very general audience to a very specific audience. It becomes a dialogue between two people quickly, right?
Two people that have known each other for years, even. It's
sure,
pretty neat. Yeah.
Sure, but by the time you're five comments, 5 replies deep into some thread, you're usually having a dialogue between exactly 2 people.
Right.
By the time you're 1 deep in the thread, you're talking to 90,000 people.
Mm-hmm.
When you're 2 deep in a thread, you might be talking to 100 or 200 people,
gotcha.
Right? But as you get down the stack, the replies usually zero down to 2 people having a discussion. I remember I once had a discussion with H Blast that was on a daily 5 days old, and we were just going back and forth for a week on something, right? And that was clearly a conversation. We could have taken it to DMs, but no, we didn't.
It's like Super Fizz. He would be having a conversation with people in dailies from yesterday. It's just oh crap.
Yeah.
And there's no way to. That's a good point. I don't think Reddit Enhancement Suite or Reddit, and maybe they do on new Reddit. Can you be notified of new replies in a thread?
Yeah, and if you're the one, not in just a thread, you can be notified if someone replies to your comment.
I mean, a
right?
comment
And that's
string.
why.
Yeah, I know that. But let's say Logri makes a comment, JT replies. Can Logri make can you
You
set
can't
it
get that notification. No,
of the
you
third,
can. You have to. You have to design. You have to follow up yourself, right? You have to be like, I'm posting here, so I can find it later, and then I'm gonna
that would
check
be-
it tomorrow, and I'm gonna have a remind me box, right? And then it'll ping me, and then I'll go back to the thing and use context, and then grab the full conversation the day later. But that's not what Reddit's good for, right? It's, as any technology, it's good at some things and bad at others, and following up on conversations deep in some thread later is just not a thing it's good for.
Yeah. Okay. Well, any other parting thoughts? Appreciate everybody hanging out here in Discord today. I'm going to go ahead and wrap up then and get this podcast shipped out the door. Check us out on pods.media, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. Just search EVMavericks. Stick around after the live stream because we continue the party in the hotel lobby on Discord for a bonus hour of popcorn. It's a fun place to let loose when the parents aren't watching on YouTube. Hi, Mom. On behalf of Ethfinance and the EVMavericks DAO, my name is JT. Cheers and big hugs from